Not at all. Okay, number five, I've got here create programs to meet students' unique abilities. You and I both know that what we do is we cater to a certain group of students who are smart with pen and paper or maybe computer literacy. It doesn't cater to the kid who's going to be an amazing auto mechanic. It doesn't cater to the kid who's going to be a very good electrician. It doesn't cater to the kid who's completely gifted in music or web design, who's going to create some amazing stuff. It doesn't cater to the kid who's got an advertising mind.
You
Okay,
know what it
comes down
caters to? It caters to an average person that they want to form and create.
systematically increase the lowest common denominator so we as a nation are a little bit better off. People's unique abilities are not met. So my personal take is everybody should have an annual individualized education plan. Now, what is the plan
100%.
for Matt? What does Matt need? Let's cater the education to him. That's difficult to do, but here's the thing: it's not easy to say. It's not fair to say, "Well, that's too hard. We can't do that." It's fair to say, "Yeah, that is the route we have to go. Let's figure this out." Because these are Matt's needs, and here's the other kids' needs. We need to meet kids' needs. Get to a different level of education that best suits Matt. Take a look at a guy like Elon Musk. He has zero respect for traditional education. It seems like that. So much so that he created his own school.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree with that.
He even said that in university, it's a great place to meet people and learn a little bit of discipline.
I've heard
Wake
so
up
many
on time,
times,
that
just
kind of stuff.
indirectly, I've heard from famous guys, successful guys, that the biggest thing they got out of school was one, making connections socially, and two, the social aspect, connecting with people in different ways, business wise, social. You know what I mean? Like that's the biggest thing that they got out of school, and that's the biggest thing that I've gotten out of school.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, next one. Something called edutainment. So that what that means is taking education and entertainment and combining them and making it something where the student gravitates towards the learning. All right. I'll tell you one thing I'm involved because I'll tell you right now, school is boring. And there's so many teachers who teach something because it's easy. It's easier a certain way, caters to the teacher style versus catering to um, students having fun and being engaged. You
Exactly,
need
and that's the
both of
biggest thing is engagement. Is engagement. That's the one word that you need to keep in mind because right now, my girlfriend's going into school and she's going, "Oh man, I'm going to school." Or I'm going to school. I say, "Damn, I got to go to school. It's boring. It's not engaging. It's not fun." Some things are if you have the right teacher maybe, but it's really not engaging at all.
Yeah, you know it's interesting. I'm learning Spanish, as you know. Now you've taken Spanish class. I've taken
Oh
French
man.
class. I took 2 years of French and I was bored out of my skull and never took it again. I did learn something, but I'm learning Spanish left, right, and center, and it's through an app called Duolingo. So the crazy thing about Duolingo is it gets me engaged because if I fall out of the top 25, I go back in a league. If I stay in the top 25 or top 20, I advance to the next league. So I'm competing against people.
You're
Take
competing,
somebody
you're
like me.
gamifying the experience. You're
Oh
gamifying your
yeah,
education experience, which is exactly what people need to see nowadays.
right. So when I get a lesson done, I get points. I get these little points that show up and the graphics are cool. I get some coins. I get to spend it on stuff. It's like, here's a guy who's 50 years old who enjoys playing the game, learning Spanish and playing the Spanish game on Duolingo because it's rewarding me. Video games are addictive because they do the exact same thing, right? They
Exactly.
reward you for getting to the next level and they reward you in big ways. You get to buy a new car, you get to paint your vehicle, you get to buy an upgrade on a gun, right? They know how to attract somebody. Can school do the same? Well, if they can do it through Duolingo, they can do it through something else. I know the kids in school used to love something called Math Prodigy and some of the math games on computers
Yeah.
because it was the same concept.
And then the biggest concept that I'm going to apply it to real life is, going back to your project that we did a long time ago in, I believe, eighth grade, you gave us full creative control. And the end outcome of one of the projects was a ranking system. Who came first, second, third? You had a top three, and those people got prizes. So when you came around to the next project, people were competing to have the best project. People were engaged. People were enjoying the process of creating school related stuff. And that's what it comes down to. People weren't bored in your class. I'm not saying you're the best educator. I'm not saying school should be modeled after you, but it should be modeled in a way that engages the students and engages in a fun way and kind of gamifies it. That's what makes it fun at the end of the day.
Right. Now, a lot of people are going to challenge you on that. They're going to say, well, school needs to have some intrinsic rewards, but not if it's fucking boring and you're not meeting the kids' needs. Like, don't bullshit us with that word intrinsic learning, the intrinsic motivation. You give something to somebody who's passionate about a topic, I'll tell you right now, there's going to be intrinsic learning, but you have to provide that passion project to them. And we are failing in doing that. Right. So, people said, well, this is all about criticizing here. No, no, no. We're giving ideas as to how to improve the school system. Who's going to listen to you and I? They're not. But these ideas have gone around. And I think the educators at the top have to look back and say, hold on a second, have we been effective? And I don't think the answer is yes. Number 7, behaviors. How do you handle shitty behaviors? Kids who are misbehaving in school.
All the time. You have different personalities, like you said earlier. You got boys and girls. It depends what age level, but bottom line is you're going to have behavior problems, behavior issues, behavior troubles, all of it. You're going to have everything.
Yes. You look at Johnny breaks a window or beats somebody up and he's back in school the next day. Jimmy slaps a teacher. I saw it all the time. A principal getting punched in the stomach, and he's in school the next day because that's his baseline behavior. We got to take a kid for his baseline behavior. What kind of politically correct bullshit is that? Where you got a situation where you can punch a teacher, and because that's your baseline behavior, you get to go to school the next day? Come on. Now, here's the thing. Should they be at home playing video games and punished? Well, punished by staying at home? Well, number one, it makes it easier for the other kids in class. Okay. So there is a win in that, but there's got to be something else.
Yeah. And what do you suggest going over? Like, how do you fix that?
Right. Well, I know an example one time. There's a kid named Nick. Okay. And I remember Nick calling Summer a bitch. She was offended. He kind of laughed it off. And I'm looking at Nick going, pardon me?
Yeah.
What did you just call her? And Nick says, well, I'm really sorry. Now, what did most teachers do? You need to apologize. You need to stay in after school. You need to write a letter of apology. That's so bullshit.
Bullshit. It doesn't
teach you. You know what I did, right? You know what I did?
I don't know.
Okay. I brought Nick into the school office and I said, okay, here's the deal. You're going to wait outside. I'm going to make one phone call and then you're going to make a phone call. And he didn't know what the fuck was going to happen. So I called Summer's dad.
Man.
Here's the deal. Your daughter was just called a bitch by a student in my class. And I'm telling him that he needs to talk to you in this next phone call. I need you to be a little bit easy on him, a little bit compassionate, but no one should be calling anybody's girl a bitch.
Bottom line.
I've got a daughter. I don't want anyone calling my daughter a bitch. So sure enough, Nick gets on the phone with Summer's dad. He's shaking. So he had to explain. I said, Nick, tell Summer's dad why you called her a bitch. And he was so profusely apologetic. He apologized to the dad. The dad was compassionate. Say, listen, I get it. I've done it before too. You can't do that. Nick never bothered that girl ever again. There's so many times.
I'm sure in the future, he's probably been a decently respectful man too, right?
I think so. I'll tell you right now, he will never forget that lesson for the rest of his life. So when there's an issue, bring in all the stakeholders. Kid breaks the window, bring in the parents. Okay, so it's the kid, the parents, the principal, whoever else was involved, the caretaker, and say, this was the outcome. What do you think needs to happen? Parents says, well, we're going to pay for this. And we're going to pay for it through your allowance, whatever it may be, but get the stakeholder in. Right? They've got to solve their own problems. And we don't see that. We're too lenient on some of these behaviors.
And that's what translates into real life. And that's where it translates into real problems, you know?
Real problems. Problems that beyond the scope of this podcast that society has to deal with.